Let the meltdown begin. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. UFC Fight Night 60 style as we're breaking it down. Kuhn, Fightnomics, one of the best in the business, will join me in a couple of moments. We'll take a look at the main event for UFC Fight Night 60. And we also have got a badass on the program tonight. It's going to be throwing it down. One of the earlier fights on the card, but it's a big fight as far as the weight class is concerned between the number 11th and number 10th ranked fighters in the world in Tim Elliott. So we got a lot of stuff to get to here this evening, and I know that I always tease you and tell you, you don't want to miss our videos of the week this week. Oh, they're good this week. Well, I got to tell you, man, we've shown you the nastiest injuries. Like, we show you the stuff that nobody else wants to show you, all right? I like showing you this stuff. We've shown you injuries. We've shown you crazy, like, street fights. We've shown you a lot of crazy stuff as far as videos are concerned, but let me just put it this way. This is the most sexually in nature type video that we've ever played. It's the raciest thing played by far on the Fight Network ever in the history of this network. It's that edgy. It's that good, too. You're going to go, oh, my God. That's what you're going to be saying. So that's at the end of the program. So we got Tim Elliott, Kuhn, and some crazy-ass freaking videos of the week. Let's kickstart the party with a man who's not, he's not messing around with this altitude because he's been in Colorado for 3 weeks right now. Tim Elliott getting ready for Zach Makovsky, steps up and in. Tim, it's always a pleasure, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure catching up with you guys. We've got one of your partners in crime, James Krause, lined up next week. Between you, Zach Cummings, and James Krause, who's the craziest of the three of you when working out? Who's the dude that you're like, oh, man, looks like he's angry this morning? I'm going to put my money on Zach.
Actually, Zach is probably the easiest going guy out of the three of us. When it comes to training, I would have to say James Krause. He hurts people in the gym. He not intentionally, but he's dropping guys left and right. And when it gets time to fight time, he gets a little dangerous in there. So, I'd have to say James Krause. He's got the calmest demeanor outside of the gym, but inside of the gym, he's busting heads.
Some gyms are more into the new age type of stuff and new age diets and new age training. Some other guys just like to go hard in the gym. Like, I don't know. I've never been to your gym at Grindhouse, but you guys strike me talking to you over the years that you guys sort of just put the hard work in, like sparring, more so than like this new stuff and psychology and all that other stuff. Am I right about that? What's your gym like?
Yeah, man, we got our head coach, he's a fighter. James Krause runs our gym, and we don't do a whole lot of, we do some technique, but we get after it. The best way to prepare for a fight is by fighting, and that's what we do. We go in and when we fight each other, and then, we hang out afterwards. So we get after it pretty good. But James, as tough as he is and as good a fighter as he is, he's also a great coach. So we get a best of both worlds as far as training goes, and we're all under the same nutritionist with Tyler Melee Minton. So we have a good diet plan, and it's a good fit. We do a lot of sparring, but it's not a lot of like boxing. We spar with little gloves on, and that's the best way to get ready for an MMA fight, I feel. Now,
best way to get ready for an MMA fight when you're fighting 5,400 feet above sea level. Broomfield's even higher than Denver is, man. Denver's only 5,200 feet. I don't know if it matters, the 200 feet at that point in time. But we've seen in the past when there's been MMA in Denver, guys have really struggled. We've seen heavyweights look like they were going to drop dead, man, in the octagon. So obviously, if you're getting there this early, generally I don't imagine you get to a venue or a state 3 weeks before a fight, right? So you really were worried about the altitude.
Yeah, it worried me a little bit. We came up 2 weeks before the UFC would normally have us up here. And, they wouldn't pay for the room that early, so we stayed in a crack motel, me, James, and another buddy of mine. We stayed in a dirty motel for the first 2 weeks, and went and trained at Factory X with Joe Warren. And my first week out there sparring with Joe Warren, I really felt the altitude. He kicked the dog mess out of me. It was the worst beating I ever took in my life. And, it hurt my confidence a little bit. And, like I said, I just never took a beating like that from anybody. I feel really good about it now. I didn't take any injuries or anything, and I feel like that beating that Joe Warren gave me is going to help me in this fight.
Yeah, I love your honesty. So many people are always so secretive. Oh, and this didn't happen because they feel as if though you're giving something away. But sometimes you got to get knocked down to get stronger, right? That's the way this world is, whether it's fighting or in our own personal lives, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And trust me, I got knocked down a peg or two by Joe Warren. The guy is a beast. I've fought big guys and I've fought good guys, but I've never taken an ass whooping like that. So, but it makes me feel good. I feel like I got that out of me, and now I'm ready to get a little bit of victory.
How long did it take to get adjusted to the altitude? And now that the fight's a little more than 3 days away, how do you feel right now?
I feel great. This is the best I've ever felt. I have no injuries, but it took me about the third day and the fourth day were the two worst, and that's when I went and sparred with the Factory X guys. And I mean, I was a new guy in the gym, and I was taking such a beating that all the guys standing around the cage were like cheering for me. They were. I think it was like sympathy cheers, but I mean, now I feel like all of it's a positive, and my confidence is at an all-time high, and my weight has never been better. And, everything has just been a positive so far.
This is a very big fight, isn't it? They're all big, obviously, but you look at the rankings, and I've never really thought much of the rankings before. I think that they were given to the media to make the media feel good, and the media then votes for their buddies, and there's politics, and suddenly other guys are just off. But coming up, you guys are going to start making money off these rankings with that Reebok deal. So suddenly the rankings do matter. You fought in tough guys before. Zach is a former Bellator champion. He's a tough fighter, but I look at this fight, and the odds makers have it basically a pick 'em. I like you in this fight because one of Zach's strengths is he thinks he can out wrestle guys. He thinks he can sort of bully guys, and I don't see that happening with you. How do you look at this fight?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a wrestling match. He may have better wrestling credentials than me, and I have a decent wrestling background. I was a 4-time collegiate All-American and a 1-time national champion in college. So
yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, Tim. That's not bad. Your resume's okay. You're only a champion.
But he's damn sure not going to bully me. That's something that's not going to happen. I haven't fought anybody outside of the top 10 in my division. I've fought better guys than Zach. I think Zach is tough and well-rounded, but he doesn't propose a ton of danger. I don't think there's any worry of getting knocked out or getting submitted. So I can really show out and really open up. And I changed some things around with how I'm going into my fights. And same with James Krause. We're not trying to win rounds anymore. We're trying to finish guys. And that got me in trouble a little bit with Joe B. I went out and tried to finish him in the first round, and I ended up getting a little overzealous and overconfident, and I got subbed. So I learned a lot from that. And like I said, I don't think I've fought better guys than Zach already. And not that Zach's not good, but I think this is a good fight for me to get me where I need to be. You, James, and Zach, you're all very, very entertaining fighters, and you all bring it. The old lunch. You guys are lunch pail guys. You're going to get an honest effort, and I'm sure that Joe Silva and Dana White appreciate that. But I guess the one critique of you, Tim, has been your aggressiveness. Can get you caught sometimes, right? You can be aggressive, but not overly aggressive, and leave yourself open, right? Right, and that's the thing is, I'm not too worried about winning and losing. Mostly, I don't want to have a boring fight. As long as I'm known as going out and giving it all I have, then I'm okay with that. And really, I want that bonus money. Me, Zach, and James have all gotten bonus money in the UFC, and all three of our guys in the UFC have gotten bonus money. So that's kind of a big deal. And once you get a little taste of that, that's all you want. It makes you $8,000 or $10,000 you win on the side seem pretty minuscule when you can get a $50,000 check.
It's easy for me to say as somebody that's never been in the octagon before, so I say this with all due respect, but, you look at the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, they screwed around, right? They had the ball at the 1, they messed around, and they ended up losing. And, you see guys, and, say what you will about Conor McGregor, and, I'm not a fan of some of the things that he says, and I'm not waving the Conor flag or anything like that, but the dude shows up to knock you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shows up and he's trying to finish fights. Cerrone, he's going in there, he's trying to win the damn fight, man. And, hey, if he loses the fight, he loses the fight. He'd rather go down on his own sword. And I really respect that. I find that guys that are sort of just trying to outpoint the other guy, it's a dangerous way to live, man, especially with the judges smoking as much crack as they do. I don't like when when fighters, oh, well, don't put it in the hands of the judges. If a guy fights his ass off and he gets screwed, I hate that cop-out. Well, don't put it in the hands of the judges. But it is dangerous to put it in the hands of the judges and not to go balls to the wall, isn't it? Because, you don't know what the judges are seeing, man.
Right. I think Connor's a genius, but you're exactly right. My first fight in the UFC with John Dodson, I thought that I won that fight. And my fight with Ali Bagautinov, I also thought that I won that fight.
Yep.
So I learned a big lesson there. You're exactly right. You never know what the judges are going to do, and I'm not smart enough to worry about what the judges or my opponent's going to do. I can only worry about what I'm going to do, and I know that no matter what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight hard every second of the fight. And Joe Silva told me after my John Dodson fight, he said, "Man, if you lose 100 fights for us and you fight like that, you'll always have a job." And that's all I really care about. Just being known for going out there and putting everything on the line, and win or lose, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's about what people think of you, and as long as people don't think I'm boring, then I'm happy, and I get to do things that I love, and it's very gratifying knowing that I went out there and did everything I could.
Hey, Tim, it's always a pleasure catching up with you, man. You're a class act. I wish you the best of luck. We've got your back, and in fact, everybody, you can watch Tim and Zach throw it down right here on the Fight Network on Saturday night. It's the first fight of our telecast, and we can't wait for this card. Hey, Tim, best of luck. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be this so close to the fight, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
There's Tim Elliott with say, how can you not pull for this guy? How can you not pull for this guy? Zach is a slight favorite in this fight, but I think Tim's going to bring it here. I think Tim's going to bring it, and hey, man, 3 weeks. This altitude is going to be a big deal, and it's going to come into play in the main event as well. We're going to break down the main event with Kuhn, Fightnomics.com, Fightnomics, the book, all that and more. MMA Meltdown continues.